Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to embark on a pretty incredible spatial and spiritual journey. We're exploring the monumental Ramanathaswamy Temple, diving deep into its vast history, mind-bending architecture, and ancient rituals. Picture this for a second. What could possibly connect a century-old sea bridge, a massive corridor lined with exactly 1,212 perfectly aligned granite pillars, and 22 magical wells? Well, the answer to that giant puzzle lies right at the southern edge of India, on the sacred Pamban Island.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, crossing the Pamban Bridge. Second, the legend of the two lingams. Third, the world's longest corridor. Fourth, the 22 sacred wells. And finally, the ultimate spiritual reset.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Crossing the Pamban Bridge.
So to get to the island, you have to cross this 2-kilometer stretch of bridge over the ocean. Commissioned way back in 1914, this was actually India's very first sea bridge. For so many visitors heading toward the holy town of Rameshwaram, crossing this bridge is the true moment of arrival. You've got the vast sea below, the train above, and this sprawling horizon. It's a deeply moving, historical experience.
And what's really wild about this is the engineering. It was a collaboration between the British and Germans that allows the bridge to literally lift up for passing ships, acting as a majestic gateway to the holy town. Designed by German engineer Scherzer, this double-leaf Basco rolling lift technology was an absolute marvel for its era. Seriously, it remains a super rare sight in Indian railways even today. It perfectly sets the tone for a journey where human engineering meets the divine.
Moving right along to Section 2, the legend of the two lingams.
At the absolute core of this temple's mythology is a really fascinating duality. You see, Lord Rama built his own Ramalingam from coastal sand, but he decreed that Hanuman's Vishvalingam must always be worshipped first, and that is a tradition strictly followed to this day. The story goes that after the Great War in Lanka, Lord Rama needed to atone for defeating the demon king Ravana, who is actually a deeply learned scholar. Rama asked Hanuman to fetch a lingam from Mount Kailash, but when Hanuman was delayed, Rama just built a Ramalingam right there on the beach out of sand. To honor Hanuman's extreme devotion when he finally returned, Rama established this dual worship system. It literally dictates the flow of pilgrims walking for the temple right now.
All right, let's look at Section 3, the world's longest corridor.
Just look at the sheer scale of the 18th century third corridor. We are talking about an outer wing stretching almost 700 feet east to west and 435 feet north to south. It's supported by exactly 1,212 symmetrical pillars, with each one soaring over 22 feet high. Think about that for a second. The logistics of moving this much heavy, non-indigenous granite from the mainland completely across the ocean centuries ago is just staggering.
This creates a huge visual shock, which is characteristic of classical South Indian Dravidian architecture. It's a style famous for its massive, intricately carved stone structures. The alignment here is so mathematically perfect that observers note if you look at the pillars from one end to another, they literally converge to form a single dot. Each pillar isn't just holding up the roof. They're canvases filled with breathtaking carvings of deities, animals, and epic scenes. It's a space where the sheer geometry absolutely commands your reverence.
That brings us to Section 4, the 22 sacred wells.
So visitors must undergo a really strict, completely unchanged purification sequence before they can even enter the inner sanctum. First, you start outside the temple walls with a full dip in the ocean's warm waves, at the Agna Tirtham. Then you move sequentially through those massive stone corridors, taking a bracing bucket of water poured directly over your head from each of the 22 wells. Finally, it's strictly mandated that you must change into entirely dry clothes before you actually approach the divine presence.
Now you might be wondering, why 22 wells? Well, these specific wells are believed to have been created by Lord Rama's 22 arrows, and they each offer distinct karmic benefits. Every single splash has a purpose. You're washed with blessings ranging from wealth and the removal of poverty at the Mahalakshmi Tirtham to wisdom and higher education at the Saraswati Tirtham. You can receive radiant healing energy from the Nala Tirtham all the way to the final well, the Kodi Tirtham, which provides the divine courage needed for ultimate spiritual salvation.
And here is where it gets really cool. There is a fascinating duality to this experience. Scientifically speaking, varying mineral concentrations in the underlying porous coral reefs perfectly explain why wells that are just feet apart surprisingly range from highly saline to incredibly sweet. Even the water temperature shifts dramatically. But on a spiritual level,
Ancient texts tell us this physical manifestation of cosmic divine energy actually aligns the human body with 12 solar principles, breaking negative karmic cycles.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the ultimate spiritual reset.
So what does this all mean? All of that physical heat, the barefoot walking, and the bracing shock of the cold water culminate in one specific goal: moksha. This is the ultimate liberation, salvation, and spiritual resting of the human soul. The entire architecture and the ritualistic process of Rameshwaram is carefully, purposely designed to guide a person out of their worldly burdens and directly into this heightened state of being.
And this isn't just symbolic, it is a profound sensory transformation. One pilgrim captured it perfectly, saying, "Whatever load I may be carrying lifts incrementally with each tirthram that I visit. I always leave feeling light and joyful." I mean, imagine that feeling. You step off the burning hot streets, enter the cool stone corridors, and let your exhaustion, your stress, and your brain fog literally wash away. You just feel lighter with every single step.
The Ramanathaswamy Temple is just so much more than an architectural wonder. It's this majestic, 15-acre convergence of ancient myth, heavy stone, and purifying water. So the only question left for us is, are you ready to cleanse your spirit and walk the longest corridor in the world? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep seeking out the incredible stories built into the world around us.